Hello and welcome to the WIHS Journal, Public Affairs from 104.9 FM. I'm Paul Kretschmer. On today's broadcast and tomorrow, I'll be speaking with Amy Palmer from an organization called Soldiers Angels. Here is Amy to talk about the organization.
Soldiers Angels was actually started in 2003 by the great-granddaughter of General George Patton.
And what was the reason for doing that at that time?
Well, Patty Patton had started the organization because her son was deployed to Iraq at the time, and she had started sending him care packages every day. It was, of course, during the early invasion of Iraq, and it was weeks before she heard from him. And when she finally did, he kept asking for more boxes and more boxes. And, because he was sharing them with fellow members of the unit that weren't receiving care packages from home. And so she decided to set up a website where people could go and sort by home state, branch of service, gender, and actually adopt a deployed service member and support them during the length of their deployment. So like an adopt a soldier program.
How long has this been underway then, in terms of how many people, I mean?
Well, we serve right now about 500,000 a year. From everywhere from deployed service members to wounded heroes to veterans of all generations. As deployments have drawn down, we started shifting some of that excess support to VA medical centers and veterans. We were receiving pallets and pallets of product, coffee and cookies and popcorn and snacks and things. And at some point, there were not as many people deployed as there was product. And so we started then using that for veteran patients at VA medical centers as well. But right now, we have about 1,000 at any given time that are registered with us for adoption. And that goes up and down as units go. It's a little bit on a decline right now as they're preparing to come home. Some of them are waiting to be able to leave those combat locations. But at any given time, I think right now there's a little over 300 service members up for adoption.
Is this what you would primarily characterize as a volunteer-driven organization?
Absolutely. Our overhead was actually just 3% last year, so 97 cents of every dollar go back to programs, which tells you a lot about our, infrastructure. And so we have a pretty small staff, mostly volunteers. About 98% of the work is done by our volunteers.
Mm-hmm. Would you anticipate that the numbers would continue to drop off somewhat as deployments continue to bring people back and hopefully not see them have to go out overseas again for at least a while?
Where we are now is about standard for a slow ops tempo, so it's pretty slow right now. About 1,000 registered with us at any given time is about the norm for a slow cycle. And that may go up, several thousand depending on rotations and groups going out if there was a reason to activate a larger group. So we expect that to stay about the same, and consistent with that number as a minimum. We'll see, of course, more support on the veteran side. So, of course, we serve VA hospitals around the country and do food programs and other sorts of programs for veteran patients, patient visits and luncheons and hygiene kits and all sorts of things. And so right now we're serving a lot more veterans than deployed, which is a good thing. Yeah.
As far as the matching up with people then is concerned, do you have an approximate idea of how long it takes from the time someone's registered before someone is matched up with them then?
So our goal is to have everybody adopted within 14 days of their registration. And so if we monitor that daily. And so anybody that goes over 14 days, we send them a package from our headquarters to make sure that they get a package pretty quickly while they're waiting for adoption. And so right now, this week, we had 43 packages we had to send out for people that had been over the 14-day window of adoption. So and sometimes everybody's adopted. It just really depends on kind of the waves. But right now there's a little over 300 that are up, and it's a little slower because some volunteers are a little more leery about going to the grocery store and buying the things to make their care packages, or even going to the post office to mail it. So our numbers are a little lower in terms of volunteers actually adopting than normal. But we're hoping as things settle down a little bit that they'll return.
So the COVID-19 outbreak has caused some impediment, as it were, just like it has for a lot of other things that go on in a person's daily life, that Soldiers Angels haven't been immune from that spillover effect.
No, I mean, just the deployed, because they can't come back home currently. They stopped all of them from their cycle home, and so they're waiting to come home. So a lot of them have mailed back their supplies and their personal gear, and so quite a few of them had asked for things that they no longer have access to. And of course, when the requirement came from the DoD to wear masks and they had to be certain colors, they didn't have access to some of those things, and so we got a lot of requests for those. And so we've been providing support to them. But a lot of our volunteers, that especially if they're elderly or disabled or high risk, that they're more concerned about shopping and going to the post office. So there's several that said they wouldn't be able to continue their commitment until things settle down. And so we picked some of those up and either got them back matched for adoption, or we took them ourselves and finished out their adoption for the organization. And on the veteran support side, of course, the VA hospitals have been very busy, like any other medical center. And so while we can't go in and do our normal patient visits and luncheons and things, we've been doing meals for medical staff in lieu of that. We've been still giving the hygiene kits and box lunches and things to the VAs to distribute to the veterans, canteen vouchers if they're there all day and can't afford to eat in the cafeteria. We've done some medical transport for homeless veterans who are COVID positive, that need to go to transitional housing while they recover. We're doing a lot of different kinds of programs right now. Sanitizer, masks. Actually, Wednesday we're sending out about 7,000 masks to deployed and to veterans and to National Guard and reserve units that have been activated and that are, in New York and other places, setting up hospitals and helping with testing and things like that. And so we're sending sanitizer and masks and all those things to those groups. So we've been as busy, if not busier, than ever.
On average, what might of someone who assembles a package for someone, do you have guidelines or recommendations as to how much to spend on something like that, and what size of a package, in terms of dimensions for shipment and so on, so that people have an idea of what to get in, that they're doing it correctly?
We do. So when they register with us to adopt a service member, one of the team leaders for whatever team they join will contact them and give them that information on items that they typically request, what things not to send, like you can't send aerosols and batteries and alcohol, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And then they'll talk to them about packaging, because the flat rate priority mail, you can only ship to APOs through the post office. And so the flat rate boxes are the most economical. So they'll give them all that information and provide it. And normally a box, $20 to $30, depending on who's sending it, in terms of what they put in it. And some people, have some things that they collect on going to be able to assemble the package. So, and then shipping's about $15 or $17.
When someone's doing something like this, is it a one-time deal between the two sides of the relationship, or do people become familiar with or knowledgeable about someone overseas in particular and develop some kind of an ongoing relationship with them in email or mail or something of that sort?
We have both. So our regular basic deployed adoption, they're matched with that person during the course of their deployment. Mm-hmm. So they'll see when they actually are looking at the people that are available for adoption when they do the search, what their end date is, so when they're coming home. So they may be on a 3-month tour, a 6-month, a 12-month, and so they'll know what the time frame is that they'll be supporting them when they sign up. But we also have ones that are one-time ones. So we have an Angel Bakers that bakes homemade goods to send overseas. That's a one-time. Ladies of Liberty, which is a special women's package for deployed females. We have a chaplain support. That's a one-time package. So we have some that are longer, that are a regular commitment, where they'll get their email address and they can correspond with them and find out what they like and if they're into any kind of sporting teams or any of those kinds of things, and really kind of customize those packages for them.
And with that, we're at the end of our first of 2 broadcasts with Amy Palmer from Soldiers Angels, an organization supporting troops in active duty and also those who are in hospitals or other facilities back here in the States. For further information, call us at 860-346-1049. The opinions expressed are those of the participants, not necessarily those of the staff or management of the station. I'm Paul Kretschmer on the WIHS Journal, Public Affairs from WIHS, Middletown.